James Melendez. Today I'm going to talk about YouTube and wine content, an opportunity for greater visibility. Stay tuned. So I did post this content to slideshare.net in October 2014, revised this in this month of September 2016. I want to see what changes have happened over time, how dramatic have they been or non-dramatic, or have there been significant changes in terms of my original viewpoint and how I captured information and data and so forth. And currently, the audience is not watching or listening to wine videos, unfortunately. And there has been some changes, but I think ultimately some of the base problems or the problem statement still exists. You'll see that in a couple of slides. So YouTube is just a platform for many viewers to self-select their entertainment or seek their own knowledge basin. And there are many categories that are prominent and generate high clicks. One is how-to, music, vloggers, technology, and animals. Think of cat videos. Many people have become stars in their own right and created a following on general topics, such as vloggers, or specific subject matter. So Charles Trippy of CTFXC has been producing videos, I believe, in 6 years, every single day in that 6-year period. Pretty amazing life he's had, and very fun to watch him as well. And Justine Ezerick, iJustine, has her own subtopic and sub-following as well in terms of being a vlogger. And then Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary, obviously known for his family's wine store in New Jersey. So I think Gary appeals to people in a segment who really love the New York Jets. But I think that's not a criticism necessarily. There's a lot of room for people in the wine category to appeal to a lot of different demographics. Now, the problem statement is wine viewership is low because of its complexity or product attributes. And some of the product attributes are really not shared with any other category. That's not beer, it's not spirits, it's not books even. And so here's some unique properties of wine. That is, there's vintage or non-vintage or multiple vintages. So you may have a champagne, it's pulled from several different vintages. So you have variety or varieties in a bottle. You have region, you have stylization, such as dry, sparkling, sweet, distribution, limited quantity, pricing, consumer unfamiliarity, and lack of confidence. I would say that these attributes are really both positive and negative. Think of distribution. If I talk about a wine and it's only available in Croatia, I think I'm going to lose a lot of audience in North America. And vice versa, if I have a wine only in California but not sent through, say, to New York City or Singapore, people, again, will lose interest. Now, these are just a few attributes that make wine more difficult to access, understand, and connect with on YouTube. Easier to find larger production spirits or beer than many wines. There's a low engagement in YouTube as it relates to wine. Now, in my study is the who. My study was to look at YouTube and wine. I looked at 50 prominent wine producers, not necessarily top 50. What I did was I just looked at those people who one would expect to have wine videos or known to have wine videos or have a personality, say in the wine press, and people look up to for wine content. So, and I compare, are other YouTube content producers experiencing the same level of interest, more or less, than their wine counterparts? And to find opportunities is the next bullet point. To understand if there's an opportunity to increase viewership and create and maintain an audience or community. The wine community is considerably less active, has a lower click rate than beer, spirits, or food. Either there's no interest in wine video content as compared to beer or spirits or even food, or perhaps there's a fundamental difference, problem, and an opportunity statement between wine and other consumable categories. Now, I pulled 3 different producers, one in the spirits, beer, and food categories. Ralphie Stuff is a producer of Scotch videos, very popular. 18 million or 18.9 million clicks. He was about 10 million only 2 years ago. 77,000 subscribers. Beer Geek Nation, 37,400 subscribers, 5.2 million views. And food, Nico's Kitchen, superbly phenomenally popular with 1.1 million subscribers and 174 million views. Now keep these in mind if you can, because we're going to go to talk about wine in terms of those top producers, and you're going to see a very big difference in terms of subscriber base. Now, here are the metrics that I looked at in terms of that anybody can find on the YouTube channel, such as number of videos, click rate, total channel or particular video, data published, subscriber, and video producer type. Now, when I speak of video producer type, I'm talking of bloggers, vloggers, reviewers, wine producers, on and off premise organizations, trade and region associations, importers, distributors, media, and governmental bodies. Now, look at the numbers here. They're going from 11,100 subscribers down to me, which is 1,051 subscribers. So these are, I would say, pretty, I think there could be somebody above Jordan Vineyard, but if they are, they're not much higher than, say, 11,100 subscribers. Justine mentioned in one of her videos, do subscribers count? And yes, they do count for a lot. It's people get postings or updates in terms of their YouTube homepage, or perhaps they'll get an email about a new video from a subscribing producer that they get. So I'm not going to read all these out, but Jordan Vineyard is the most popular. The second would be Wine Spectator, and you see LCBO has grown dramatically from 1,000 2 years ago to 5,700 today. And I have grown as well, so maybe not to the dramatic level of LCBO, but hopefully that'll catch up at some other point in the future. Now, number of videos. I am the number one producer, 2,354 from 1,808. Now, I suspect that I still am the largest producer. The next one down decrements quite a bit to nearly 700 for Nat Decants from Canada, and going all the way to Wine Press Northwest. I had a number on them 2 years ago. When I looked today, I couldn't find that number. They're still on YouTube, but that number's not there. So not a lot of content out there, in my opinion. What I mean by that simply is that look how many bottles are produced. So about 99% of those videos, if it's 100,000 bottles produced per year of different labels of wine, only, I would say 1% really gets any coverage. Now, do I have any data points on that? I don't, because I don't think we even have a number of how many wines are produced per year. Suffice it to say, it's quite a bit. Now, I looked here at the click rate. Now, Mirabeau is number one at 11.3 million, which is impressive. Now, Jordan is number two at 2.6 million, up from 1.4. So the bracketed numbers are the number from 2 years ago. Now, Wine Spectator 1.4 million, and 2 years ago 1.1 million, just going down. You'll see a dramatic leap in LCBO. So LCBO is Liquor Control Board of Ontario, the world's actually largest wine retailer. It's the provincial-owned stores, and that's how wine is sold in Ontario. So in Canada, you're going to find all the provincial stores through each province. LCBO is for Ontario. So my number is 256,000 compared to Jancis Robinson at 252,000. Very curious thing is, and I've written an article about Jancis Robinson, and she's in her videos, and you can see them for transparency, that she talks about, she's not sure that wine videos really have a purpose, and it's not a spectator sport. I think she's a different generation and has a different view of wine video and what its purpose is. I have a different view altogether. I try to mix in a bit of a vlogging style as well as general subject matter video content. Now, this is an old slide. I didn't update this because it would take a lot of work. This was really looking at data published, and data published was when did these producers of the top 50 last produce their videos. There were 34 active producers, but there were other, say 16 other producers who were not active. If I took all their numbers of their total clicks, it's about 3.4 million of people who were not active. So that content's out there. It's aged and something that people just don't look at anymore. And I would say, to be fair, is I look at my glassware video. I don't think that's really a content that's really going to age, because the subject matters are, the glasses are still produced. Maybe it's a wine and the vintage is no longer produced. But I think a lot of people do seek a lot of information, even on older vintages. So look at wine market share. It doesn't always correlate in social media terms. So in 2013, the total retail value of wine was $36.3 billion in the United States. And there's a definitive active social media as it relates to wine on Twitter and Facebook. And I would say with Instagram as well. So I think that's the viewpoint here. In 2014, Twitter and Facebook were king. Actually, Facebook is still very important in social media. still the number one site when compared to, say, Instagram, although Facebook does own Instagram. With a large market share, it would be assumed that there would be a large YouTube video presence and a very active wine interest among Twitter and Facebook users. The social media pie slice is a worldwide phenomenon. Some labels or subject matter may have a more limited audience. Well-known wines and broadly distributed wines have a higher click rate. There should be no surprise in that. Now, video producer recommendations. Here's some recommendations I have overall. Be relevant and be consistent. It's really important that you have content that people are going to find interesting and want to see your next set of videos. Call to view. What's your call to engage your viewer? What's your message? And why should your video be viewed? Now, there's also a brand proposition that a wine video producer brings. What is your brand promise? Your purpose. What materials do you have? A logo, an intro, transitions, an outro, music. Be critical of what you're producing. Do you offer a graphic design element? Should it be published? Is it interesting? There have been a few times where I've actually pulled back video, and for a lot of the videos that I have produced, I have decided to not produce some based on I was not believing that the content was relevant enough. So in terms of production, so this is the actual producing the video itself. Does your visitor know what you're going to talk about? Do you frame or outline what you're going to speak about? View your video prior to publishing. You want to check for your edits. Are they correct? Any extended or black time towards the end of the video, or maybe in the beginning of the video, in fact. And I think I've seen that happen quite often. And I'm really surprised that a lot of people are producing videos without even a thoughtful title. It's essential to do that. You don't want to really scare people away. You want to bring them back to watch again and again. So add music. I think it really helps to flow the conversation as well. I had a few people who said it's too loud. Fine, I bring it right down. I get a lot of comments and a lot of feedback, which is good. Lighting is important. It's hard, but it's really, really essential to capture and to master. Sound is really important, but you can definitely correct that in the post-production. So plan your beginnings too, and I think this is an opportunity. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. This is blah, blah, blah. I think there's different ways of engaging your audience as opposed to some producers, and you can see them even today, who are, high click rate vloggers who really don't have a really good intro or even have a good, thank you at the end, or even just what I would call the outro message. So what is your publishing cadence? You could publish that in your video. Say I publish every Monday or Tuesday. I publish weekly or bi-weekly. So it's important to do that if you can. I produce a lot of video content, so I don't necessarily do that, but that fits my brand. Do you have content planned or not planned when you film? Recommend an outline or even just notes that you can follow when you're producing your video. And again, have your closing message. Equipment. I use both a Canon camera. I use my iPhones, and I also use my Mac as well. I do have lighting, which is a softbox. I have a Blue Snowball microphone that I use. I use Final Cut or Final Cut Pro. I used to use a teleprompter, but I don't use that anymore. I find it to be kind of annoying. So a lot of it is just in outline form if I do a video that way. And test your video equipment. Make sure it's working. Make sure that there's enough space and memory to capture what you're saying. And that is to view your video before publishing. Analytics. Analytics are your friend. Many metrics to view. Demographics. Who's watching. Male, female, country. In my top 10 is Croatia, which I would not have expected. I definitely would have expected the UK and Canada and English-speaking countries, but I have a lot of countries that I would not have expected in that list. So it's also really important to have your videos in terms of timing. What's the right amount of timing or duration of your video? What's the playback location? You could look at that as well. Your likes versus dislikes, subscribers, and many more data points. Building a community. I'm going to start off with the last one, which is patience. You have to have patience. You need a community. If you don't have a community, who are you speaking to? This is one where people rush and I think get impatient and stop producing videos. And collaborate. Find people who might be like-minded or not. I would say sometimes you think maybe a winemaker is an optimum speaker, and sometimes they are not. And I've had interviews where they have been pretty painful and very difficult to get somebody to go along in the video format. And, I'm just like, how did I get here? But ultimately, choose wisely and make sure people feel comfortable about being filmed. There's a lot of people who aren't. Subscribe to other YouTube channels. Use other social medias to highlight your YouTube presence and respond to your questions from your community. In your video, ask for questions, offer solutions, website, producers, other information. Concluding thoughts. 3 of them primarily are purposeful engagement. Planning your YouTube experience. A written plan is really helpful. And what I mean by this is not just per video, but in terms of what is your purpose for creating videos. Action. Knowing your brand and making a concerted effort that your brand is fully apparent. And what works. What is the optimum video production for you in terms of maybe the look, the feel, the sound, the duration, and so forth. Wine and YouTube will be a success in the future when a community is created and maintained. In my opinion, it's still not there. So I think wine is endlessly fascinating. And why not for video media? I think it's really primed for that. And be sure to collaborate. So you'll find me on a variety of social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, LinkedIn, as well as Instagram and WordPress. I really appreciate you watching this today. Stay tuned for more questions and comments down below or on the social medias that I'm on. Thank you again for watching today. Salute.